really excited to be your host. Again, it'd be great if you just put in the chat what school you're coming from, just so we know who's in the room. And so quickly, we'll just go over the agenda we have today. We're gonna have a welcome by Roberta Camarena. She is UC San Diego Assistant Director of the Admissions Program. Then we'll get to know more about the Rasa Resource Center on campus. Then we have the opportunity to meet 5 students, alumni that went to UCSD and share their experience. And we'll hear about UCSD admissions, majors that UC San Diego has to offer, and how to apply. So great. So my name is Anna Bach. I'm the program assistant for Puente secondary team. I'm from Oakland, California, and I'm a proud alumna of UC San Diego. I just want to quickly share a little bit about my journey to UC San Diego. I was fortunate enough to connect with programs on campus that made me feel a sense of community away from home. You know, coming from Oakland, going to San Diego, it was pretty far, but I feel like I was able to connect with campus clubs, and I got to go to the overnight program before I was admitted. You know, it gave me a taste of what campus was about. I got to stay in the dorms, meet other students, hear from clubs, and it really built my interest, right? And so I submitted my SIR. From there, I applied to be in the summer bridge program, which allowed me to take classes in the summer before fall happened. So I kind of built my community, and it was just really awesome to, you know, feel like I had knowledge of the campus before stepping really on foot there when everybody else came. So great. So enough about me. I want to introduce Ms. Roberta Camarena again, who is the Assistant Director of Admissions, Diversity Recruitment. She's had a heavy hand in organizing this and connecting us with all our UCSD resources and our folks that are here today. And so she immigrated from the US, or she immigrated to the US from Tijuana and was raised in San Isidro, one of the 2 border towns in San Diego, and completed her degree in biochemistry and cell bio with 2 minors, math and Spanish literature. She taught a lot of different topics, a lot of different classes like AP Bio, Spanish literature, math, English, and K-12 grade levels, but for 15 years before coming back to UC San Diego to work in admissions. And she also received her master's in San Diego as well. So just want to turn it over to Ms. Roberta Camarena.
Buenos dias and welcome, and I hope your morning is going well. It's wonderful to have you all here joining us today. And basically, I just want to, number one, say you belong, right? You belong in this space, you belong at UC San Diego or whatever institution you choose. One of the things that I had a difficult time with as I was growing up is understanding that university belongs to all of us. We are all tax, and we should all have the right to be able to attend whichever institution it is that we decide to. The key is to prepare. And so hopefully this day will provide you enough information to know what it is that you need to do on your end in order to gain access to UC San Diego. We have, as Anna had mentioned, we have a plethora of speakers for you today, and they're all very knowledgeable in their arenas. And so hopefully you can grasp as much information from them as possible. I will share my information in the chat. You can always reach out to me. I love to guide students, mentor students, serve as a point of contact for counselors and leaders, advocates for students. And so today is all about sharing what UC San Diego can do for you.
Awesome.
Gracias,
Thank
Ana.
you. Thank you. And likewise as well, if anything I said or anybody, if what anybody says here, like feel free to reach out to us to learn more about our experience or any resources that we have. So next, I'd like to introduce Ms. Claudia Martinez. She's the Assistant Director of the Raza Resource Center on campus. She was also born in Tijuana, Mexico, and moved to the United States at the age of 14 with her parents and her younger brother, just in time before high school. She graduated from the University of Redlands with a bachelor's degree in race and ethnic studies and Spanish. And she has 10 years experience working with first-gen Latinx students with a specialization in providing services to parents.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, everybody. And I didn't realize that Roberta and I are both from Tijuana. Woohoo! I love it. And yes, I'm a first generation student myself, Latina. I had no idea what I was doing when I went to college. I sometimes wonder how I even graduated because I wasn't involved in programs at all. So I did everything completely by myself. So I am very excited to share about what we do at the Raza Resource Center. So I'm going to start sharing my screen with you all. And the Raza Resource Center was established in 2014, and it came out of student activism. So Roberta was saying the university is yours. Whatever school you choose is yours. This is a prime example of that. Students wanted a space on campus in which they felt at home. They felt like they belonged. It was their own turf, and that's what they got. So after several incidents that happened on campus in 2010, the center was officially dedicated in 2014, and I have been part of that staff ever since. So I've been there for 8 years now, since the very, very beginning. But let me show you what we do. So like I mentioned, created out of student activism, the purpose for us is to create a sense of community and identity for our Latinx students. And we're not a club and organization. We get this question a lot. How do we join? You don't, because we're a department on campus fully funded by the university to serve you. That's my number one goal. And serving students comes in very different levels. Academics come number one. So we have a lot of academic programs. We provide social events, we provide cultural programming, just to ensure that you feel like you have a place on campus to physically go to, and also a place where you find your own people, your own community, right? We have a lot of food, sometimes we have people that make pupusas on like in front of you and all of that. So we also know that food brings you together. It's not just myself and career staff. We have employees, student employees, so we have internships, understanding that our internships are what drives our center as well. So that helps in two ways. One, students need jobs on campus, and we're more than happy to provide that. And two, the students know what the student population wants. You all are the ones who are going through through the motions of the university. You know what it's like to live on campus. And so the student interns help us shape the programming and understand what areas do we need to still fulfill to ensure that our students are being served. And we collaborate with key stakeholders on campus, meaning we don't do this by ourselves. We will collaborate with all of the other campus community centers, with other departments on campus. We will also advocate for bigger funding. We will advocate for clusters of faculty hiring. And so we don't just provide the fun food stuff, we also ensure that the university is moving on and establishing a place for Latinx students on campus. And I will explain a little bit more about that in a second. Our physical space has a kitchen, we have a community lounge, we have a computer lab, conference room, we have a library. And actually, let me just say real quick about our library. It was actually donated by an alum. Before he passed away, he left in his will that the books will go directly to the Centro because he was so in touch with UCSD. And the Centro did not exist when he was a student, but he realized the importance of having all of these books. So a lot of the books that we have are first edition books that are from Latinx authors, geography books, historical artifacts, periodical magazines. We have a lot of good stuff in there. Testing supplies. So, people need Scantrons and blue books and all that jazz. We get those for you for free. Just come and ask me for some. And we have a self-care corner, especially now that things are just like all over the place. We have like literally a self-care corner with like coloring books and Play-Doh, and you can play dominoes or whatever. There's nail polish just for you to just, unwind for a bit. So this is what our physical space looks like. So like I said, we do have a physical location, and things are different right now with COVID, but when it's open, there's no appointments. There's no like, can I come in? Yes, you can. You come in whenever you want for whatever you want. You just come in, join folks studying, join folks in chit chat, make new friends. We may be showing a movie. We may be doing absolutely nothing. And then all of a sudden people start playing music. And so that's the whole point of the Centro, is for folks to just have a place to go to. And the Centro is part of a bigger entity. And so this program, the Black and Latinx Family Orientation Weekend, is one of the biggest programs that we have put together. And so it's an annual orientation weekend. And when I say weekend, it really is a weekend where we bring the students who are moving into the university, to live in the residence halls. We'll bring them early to move into the campus before anybody else moves in, and your families are all invited. And we give you full run of the university. Literally, get lost. Go find where everything is, because the university is ginormous. But in addition to that, we have workshops to help you transition. So where is the health center? What services do they have? Why does UCSD have over 10 bus lines? And I got lost going into one of them one time. We will help you with that. Parents have a lot of questions. Well, why is my student, getting their grades, but I am not getting the grades at home? And what about financial aid? And who's going to take care of them? And who's going to feed them? I answer all of those questions for your parents. And that is the whole purpose of that orientation. And it is absolutely free for the admitted students. And so once you get admitted to UCSD, you get a letter from me that says, congratulations, you're in. Here's our welcome orientation. Join us. All you have to do is say, yes, I'm coming. And then we do the rest of the work. We tell you when the orientation is happening, and you show up, with all of your stuff, move into the residence hall, and you're good. If you're not living in the residence hall, we also have a track for students who are commuter students and are transfer students, and they also have a set of workshops. So what does it mean to be a transfer student into UCSD? How does that change for your families? Where are the parking spots and, your classes, and how does that shift and all of that? We will do all of that in that one weekend, and it's all covered by us, and we'll feed you and the whole shebang. And so I wanted to share this because it's part of what we do as well. The other part is I am in charge of the Chilac graduation, Chicanx Latinx graduation out of the Centro. So this is a graduation that does not replace the main commencement, but it is a culturally relevant graduation, completely bilingual in English and in Spanish. I do the entire graduation in Spanish. The director does it in English, and we don't require tickets. We know that, when you graduate from anywhere, they're like, you can only bring 4 family members, but y'all, we're Latinx families. Four people, that's nothing. You want to bring the vecina, el vecino, la abuelo, la abuela, y la tía. So we want you to bring everybody. So people bring up to 20, 30 people. That's very normal for our graduation. And it's culturally relevant. We know that your families want to see you graduate. We know that they want to, we have a family once who brought pots and pans, and they were like, whoa, we want to hear that. We have a mariachi playing. And once again, the event is 100% free for the families and their students. We take care of everything. You do have to opt into this graduation, but all you have to do is just tell me, I want to participate. Good. And then that's it. We also do this virtually right now with COVID. And I do want to say that it is very important for us to also say your names correctly. So if I see your name when you submit your form, and I'm like, is it Hannah or is it Anna? I will actually call you and I will ask you to say your name, because we know the names are important. We have had students who are like, well, I didn't think you were going to say that my last name is Meño. I thought you were going to say Meno, because nobody says the ñ. No, I will definitely take time, because names are important to you and your families, and who wants to walk the stage when they said your name incorrectly. So when I say culturally relevant, we really mean it. Going to go super quick about how the Centro in the university is making the campus a Hispanic serving institution. So we're an emerging HSI. We will hit those numbers pretty soon, which means that the university will be able to apply for a grant and say that we serve Hispanic students or Latinx students on campus. And so part of the many steps that we're doing, aside from all the programs that the Centro is doing, is that we are now the permanent host of the Adelante Latino and Adelante Mujer conferences. We provide innovation grants, and we are in the process of also applying for a grant through HACU, and HACU is a national conference. And we are in the process of translating everything on our documentation on our websites. I work with admissions a lot, and ensuring that we provide bilingual documentation for parents as well, for you all, honestly. And so this is one of the many steps the university is taking into ensuring that there's not just only the Centro that's doing the work. This is a whole campus effort, and how do we fit into this? And so Roberta or Anna mentioned earlier that I work a lot with parents. So we actually have an initiative right now where we teach parents in high schools about the going to college process, not about UCSD, just how do you help your student go to college? And that is one of the many steps that we're doing. We have upbolstered our programming, which means that we're emphasizing a lot more into the coming into UCSD process and how do we help you with that. We have a partnership with Entravisión, so we're developing multimedia, meaning commercials, radio, TV. So you might see some of us from time to time on a commercial. This is not a lie. And finally, we're partnering up with admissions to promote cultural relevant webinars, meaning things like this, right? Where it makes sense for you all, and it's not just like, you know, about UCSD. It's about you all being Latinx at UCSD. I'm going to leave you with my information that is also our email and our Instagram account. And I'm saying the Instagram account because everything gets posted on there. And I know you all about Instagram. So please get in touch with me and let me know if you have questions. And I see there's questions in the chat, but how we can help you. And if you're interested in, you know, coming to campus and all of that, we can make something happen. Not everybody at the same time, please, but we can make it happen.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing, Claudia. And again, if you have questions throughout this session, please put it in the chat. We have chatters that can help answer our questions if we don't answer it live. All right. So next, we have our student and alumni panel, which will be moderated by Claudia again. So we have 5 awesome mujeres. We have Alondra, Ariana, Aurora, Valerie, and Julissa. And so they can all share a little bit about their experiences. Not everyone is going to be the same because we have folks that, you know, started as first years. We have folks that started as transfers. We have folks that are alumni. I'm also alumni. You know, we're all at different timelines with UC San Diego. So all different experiences. So if we can get started, Claudia.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to have folks go in the order of the screen to make it a little bit easier for this first question. And that is, please tell us your name, your hometown, your major, and the community college and or UC campus that you are coming from. So we'll start with Alo Osuna Orozco.
Hi, everyone. Hola, buenos días. My name is Alondra, but I go by Alo for short. I am from Guadalajara, Jalisco. I was born there. So Tapatía right here. I migrated over here when I was 8, so I've been here for a little while now. And I attended Southwestern College, which is a local community college here in San Diego. And now I'm a second-year transfer, so I'll be graduating in the spring.
Hi, everyone. My name's Ariana. I am an alum. I'm from class of 2020. I majored in political science, specifically in public policy. Then I'm from Lake Elsinore, California, which is in Riverside County. And then I actually attended Palomar College, which is in North County, San Diego. So I would commute back and forth. Yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Hi. Oh, wow. Hi, everyone. My name is Aurora Solano. I am a first-year transfer student. I'm gonna ask if the questions can be typed in the chat because I typically am very forgetful when it comes to questions. But I'll just go off of right now what's on the panel. But yeah, my major is political science, international relations. I'm involved in the Transfer Hub, CIRC, and Rasa LLC. My hometown is, or my city is Santa Ana in Orange County. I am from Santa Ana College, and I also graduated from Santiago Canyon College. They were both sister schools, which meant that I was able to dual enroll, and I was able to take my major requisites at SCC and graduate from SAC. So that's always an option, and I'm attending here, UCSD. Thank you.
Hi guys, my name is Valerie. I'm a UCSD alumni. I majored in global health. I started at Pasadena City College and I transferred after 2 years to UCSD.
Hi everyone, my name is Julissa Villalobos. I'm a second year transfer here at UCSD. My major is aerospace engineering, and I am from a small town in Northern California named Chico. I transferred from Butte College here to UCSD, and I'm very excited to be here today.
Thank you all so much. So you all come from very different places, right? And so I think that's also amazing because it helps, folks see our different trajectories. And so then my next question for all of you, and we'll start with Ariana. I'll put the order in the chat real quick, is why do you all choose to attend your community college and then the UC campus that you attended?
Yeah, so I actually did end up going to a different UC before I decided to go to community college. Tried that out, didn't really work out. And so I decided to go to my community college instead. And then while I was there, I feel like I had more opportunity to decide what I wanted to do before I went ahead and pursued university. And so while I was out in my community college, I really got to explore different pathways. And then from there, I was just looking for a campus that would really help, take this path that I decided to choose and really expand it, which was UC San Diego. And so luckily my community college was in San Diego County as well. So it was really nice to have representatives from UC San Diego come to my college and talk about the campus. And so that really convinced me to apply.
Alrighty, I will go next. So when I was a senior in high school, I was not admitted into any UC schools. I was admitted into other smaller colleges. And after going through some tours, I just realized that those schools were not for me. And although their financial aid was great, I was only going to have to pay $1,000. I decided that going to my local community college was the best course for me because I knew that I wanted to transfer. I knew I wanted to attend a UC or a private school, and attending a different university that was not a part of the UC system would not allow me to have transferable courses. So because of that, and because I talked with my counselor, I registered for my local community college, and it was the best decision of my life. I graduated last year, 2021, so I'm fresh out of there. And it was hard because of the pandemic, but either way, I had the best support out there. And when I was applying to the UC systems, like to the UC colleges in 2020, of course I had help, and San Diego was actually the one that I added as you're allowed to have 4 and you won't have to pay for it. But I put UC San Diego as my 5th, and I paid for that one and I was admitted. So I was like, yes. And I didn't know much about the colleges, that there are 7 different colleges. And I ended up being in the first college that I chose, which was Eleanor Roosevelt. Yeah, so I transferred to UCSD because I really, really enjoyed the idea of going to San Diego. I have family in Tijuana, and I just thought, was like, wow, maybe I could go downtown, like go down the trolley and, meet my family, get some tacos, like just have fun. Or sometimes I'm not too far away from UC San Diego, so my parents come down to UC San Diego and then they pick me up and then we go to Tijuana. So it was convenient for me. So yeah, that's why I chose UCSD.
Okay, so for me, it was a little bit different. Out of high school, I graduated with a 4.3 GPA, and obviously I wanted to apply to universities, but because of my immigration status, that was barely going to start to be in process. The lawyer advises not to apply. So I had to wait, and for a while I was upset. So one of my mom's friends, she worked at Southwestern College. She introduced me. She was like, there's something we can do so that you can attend, and then later on input the missing information. So I was like, you know what? That's better than nothing. So at first I was just kind of like, oh, like I have to do this. I would rather be at a UC. I would rather be somewhere else. But I attended Southwestern College for 2 years, graduated with my associates in psychology, and I loved it. It was such an amazing experience. I was a dual athlete there. I played soccer and I ran track and field. So I wouldn't change it. Obviously, if I could go back, I still wouldn't. I would do the same decisions of attending there, because when I chose to apply after the 2 years, I applied to a bunch of schools. I got into a couple, but my sister, my younger sister, she actually goes here as well. But she came right out of high school, so she's been here for like, she's a junior now, I'm a senior, so we're only a year apart. So I decided, I'll come here because we're super close and it's in San Diego, it's home. So I decided to attend here, and I also got a full academic scholarship, so that was another of the reasons why. But yeah, now I'm part of Rebel College, and yeah.
So the reason why I attended community college first was because I didn't really know if I wanted to attend a UC or a CSU. I wasn't really sure. And also I wasn't really sure about my major. I wasn't completely sure what exactly it is that I wanted to do. I knew I liked math and stuff like that, so I wanted to do something in that field, but I wasn't quite sure. So all I knew is that I really wanted to get out of my small town and just go anywhere. It didn't really matter where, just I wanted to move out and start my own thing and kind of get used to being on my own and being independent before I made this huge choice of moving to a bigger city. Because I am from a small little tiny town up in Northern California. So I was doing all this on my own. So I didn't really want to jump too far into something that I didn't really know how it was going to turn out. But I ended up going to community college, and it was one of the best choices I have ever made in my entire life. I strongly recommend it. But you got to check out what works for you, and you got to figure out your learning style and what exactly it is that you want. So just pay attention to that.
Hi guys. So I originally went to community college because I actually didn't get any scholarships to any UCs when I applied out of high school. So it's kind of like a financial hardship for my family. So it was a great way to like save money and get an awesome education as well. And I think it was a really good experience for me as well, because it's kind of like my first time being in college. So I kind of got used to like the coursework and the pace, and I was able to make like a lot of friends. So after I transferred to UCSD, I actually had some of my friends transfer with me as well. So it was like really great. It was like really fun. And so I was able to have like friends at UCSD when I went there. And so yeah, it was just a really great experience.
And I love all of your answers because there's such different trajectories, right? Like folks tend to think that there's only one way into any school, and that is directly from high school into whatever. And so we have Selena, who's also a current student, and she's answering things in the chat. And she said, when you go to a SEC first, you get your education at a discount. And some of you mentioned that, and that's so true, right? And I love that you all shared your personal experiences. Thank you, because that helps understand that there's not one way, and you all are still here, right? And you're thriving, and the pandemic is making things a little bit weird, but we're all there. So thank you all. I know that we're closely into our time, so I want to ask you all, who mentored you through your college experience, and how did you meet this person or group of people? Like who's in your corner, like cheering you on? Who are those folks?
I think it's back to me. So I think, during my first year, I applied for the Campus Ambassador program at UC San Diego, which works closely with the admissions team. And so they were so fundamental to my first year. I met so many people, other transfer students as well, just because I found it so difficult to connect with them. And so that was a great program. I worked really closely with the admissions officers, and then even the students themselves. But apart from that, my second year, one of my professors in my public policy class, he actually took me under his wing because he was a policy analyst, which is something I hope to do in the future. And so I actually got to work with him. I interned with him at the San Diego Tax County Taxpayers Association in downtown San Diego. So that was one of my first internships. And so I worked with him, and he really helped me navigate everything, especially once I decided to apply for graduate school. And so he played a really large part in that. And he showed me what I could do with my degree after I graduated from college. And so he was one of my favorite people on campus. And so he really helped me out.
Was there a specific order or can we just go on?
You all can just go on.
Alrighty. Well, hi everyone. I do have a mentor. Her name is Jasmine, and basically the way that I met her, basically when I was entering UCSD, they sent me an email through Mentor Collective, and all I had to do was fill out a form, saying the kind of my major, my year, what I'm hoping to get out of UCSD, and if I would prefer someone who's also in the same major, if somebody's also in the same college as me. So I was able to personalize my profile, and they were able to find someone who matched me. So my mentor is Jasmine, and she's also an Eleanor Roosevelt student, and she's also a political science major. And she's a senior, so she is 1 year above me. And it's been great just being able to talk to her about my experiences, since last year was like my first quarter on campus, or in general, my first quarter at a UC. It was very weird because I was like, I don't know anyone. I'm fresh from a different college, and I didn't get to meet other people. I think there was only 2 of us from my high school year, 2019, who's here at UCSD. So it's very, very I don't know the people a lot. So with her, I was able to kind of get my frustrations out. I don't know anybody, and she would just encourage me to go out, and it's been really, really great. And if that's something you're interested in, and if you get an email from Mentor Collective, I really love it because, like I said, they can just personalize it. But I also feel like Alondra can also talk about this. But the Transfer Hub also has peer coaches, and I know some people see them as mentors. You ask them questions, and sometimes they can help you out with classes, web reg, all that good stuff. And I know a lot of people who feel like they are their mentors. So yeah.
I can go next. So yeah, just like Aurora mentioned, I don't think I mentioned it before, I am a peer coach here at UCSD at the Trident Transfer Hub. And I'll go based off that. One of my mentors have definitely been my supervisors here from the Trident Transfer Hub, Jackie and Ariana. They have been so helpful. They've actually been helping me in my whole application to graduate school because, as a first gen student, I am not familiar with anything at all. So I actually just completed my first one 3 weeks ago. So I'm super excited about that. And also besides Jackie and Ariana here at UCSD, my soccer coach at Southwestern would definitely have to be one of my mentors because she has helped me transition from Southwestern to UCSD, and now she's also helping me on the process to graduate school. And she's always pushed me to achieve more than I think I can because you don't know the options that are out there. So she would always share with me you could do this, you should apply to transfer, you have good grades. And she always guided me in a way that my parents didn't really know how because they never went through those experiences. So I'm super grateful for her. And yeah, that's basically it for me.
So wait, I think I blanked on the question. Sorry, what was the question?
So who has, been your mentor, who has been in your corner through your college experience?
Yeah, so my first year at community college, I ended up joining this program called MESA, the MESA program. It stands for Math, Engineering, Science Achievement. And the coordinator there actually introduced me to one of my future professors for one of my drafting classes. And he's been a ton of help in my journey so far because he is an engineer himself. He worked in that field. So he has definitely given me pointers and insiders and tips. And like Alo said, sometimes you don't understand the opportunities that you have because you are undocumented and your parents don't really know how to help you. And so you're kind of left to fend for yourself and stuff. So making connections is definitely a huge recommendation I would make. Anywhere you go, whether it's community college or UCSD or whatever school, work, or program you end up deciding to go into, definitely make friends and make the effort to join as many things as you're interested in, because that's how you get to know people, that's how you network, and that's how you get to where you want to be.
Hi guys. So my first mentor I met at my community college, actually one of my bio professors. I really liked the way he taught his class. So I would always go to his office hours just to ask him questions and stuff. And we really made a connection. And even after I transferred, he was still like mentoring me, giving me advice about like kind of the biology field and like what classes I should take, like for my major, if I wanted to become like a researcher. So that was really great connection I made at my community college. And then after I transferred to UCSD, I was recruited by one of my professors to join her neurology lab as an undergraduate researcher. So I was able to kind of make that connection with her, and she helped me like in the process of applying to grad school. And we still talk even after I've graduated. And then some of the graduate researchers there, I also made connections with them, and they were able to give me like a lot of advice, like career advice, since they were already in graduate school. They were able to give me a lot of advice about being a bio major and like what to do and what you need to apply to graduate school. So that was a really great opportunity. So if you have a chance to like get involved in research or just go to the professor's office hours and just talk to them and just try to make a connection, just ask them about anything about their research. If they see you're interested, they'll most likely give you an opportunity. So that's a great way to make a connection.
Thank you all. And we had a question in the chat, and this will be our last question for today. And that is, what is the best thing about UCSD, or what is the thing that you enjoy the most about UCSD?
I know Selena mentioned it, but the beach, it's so nice. I don't think I'll ever get another opportunity to live that close to the beach. It was really nice to go in between classes. But even the library, I love the library. If you haven't been to campus, the library is definitely the first place to just check out. My favorite floor is the 7th floor. But yeah, definitely the beach and the library. They also have really good food on campus, so which is a plus. Because I've been to other places and their food does not compare to ours. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I can go next. So I lived very close by to UC Irvine. So every time we would do field trips, I would go to UC Irvine, and the campus at UCSD, like the overall like layout, I prefer that so much more. I prefer it so much more than UCI's. Sorry. I was supposed to go to UCI like through a program connected to my CC, and I was like, no, I cannot. But the overall UCSD campus is great. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, one of my favorite things, of course, are the centers, such as the Raza Resource Centro, the Women's Center, and the LGBT Resource Center, and of course the Transfer Hub. That's one of my favorite things about UCSD, is that they provide so much like more resources to students of you know, of like a different race, different sexuality. And my friend, who is also a transfer student, she went to a private school in Orange County, and she was like, I do not feel welcome at all. I feel like I'm behind. People don't support me. People see me as less than because I went to a community college and I didn't go here as a first year. And I never got that feeling from UCSD, never. Instead, I felt supported. I attended the Latino orientation that Claudia was talking about earlier, and that was my first introduction to UCSD, and I loved it overall. Like overall, I've established a pretty great familia. I talked to Selena a lot. Of course, I have Alo as a coworker. So it's been really, really great. I feel like the campus overall is really great at putting people together. Like, I don't know, there's just something about the campus that like you just like are walking around, but you can make friends. You can go to Target that's right on campus. I believe it just opened up last quarter. So we do have a Target and it's really, really cute. It's really convenient. So that's one of my favorite places to get. Yeah, Target. I love it. So yeah, I just overall think that the campus like layout is perfect and it's great for meeting people.
I'll go next. Oh my God, there's just so much. I love UCSD so much. Like, I feel like there was no other school that would compare to this. But I feel like one of the main ones is that Sister goes here. So we used to be neighbors. Like during the summer, we lived on campus, and it was so fun. Just like she'll literally be like, "Okay, I'm bringing you breakfast," or "Can you make me breakfast?" It was just so fun to like be able to connect with her. We've taken like so many classes together, and then other things. Obviously, the Trident Transfer Hub. It's one of my favorite things about UCSD as well, because when I transfer, I was kind of scared because as a transfer student, you only have like 2 years to be able to, do everything, right? Get all the requirements, get involved, do research, all of that stuff. And when I joined the Trident Transfer Hub as a peer coach, I didn't expect it to be like the way it is now, but it was so beneficial in so many aspects. I have met so many people like Aurora, a bunch of other coworkers, and it's such a welcoming and like friendly environment. I feel like everyone feels supported when they go there. And obviously the campus is beautiful. I live on campus. I love it. And also I just love how UCSD holds such a high and rigorous name. So when you tell people, oh, they ask you where do you go, you say UCSD, they always make a face like, oh, so you must be smart. I love that feeling. And that's basically it.
I really like the buildings at UCSD, the structures. Somebody mentioned before the library. The library is super cool. It's really awesome. It has like 8 floors or something. And I didn't know that. And I hadn't even seen the library before I transferred, because I did transfer last year in 2020 for COVID. So we weren't really allowed on campus, and I didn't really get to spend my first year on campus. So this quarter, or I guess last quarter, was basically the first time that I had ever really had time to explore it. But like previous people said, the little centers are really awesome. I know that the Undocumented Student Center is really cool. The Training Transfer Hub is awesome. The Women's Center is really cool too. And I really like the art that they have around campus, because I've been to other campuses and stuff, and they have really cool buildings too. But UCSD has a little house hanging off of the Jacob School of Engineering. That's really awesome. They haven't opened that up yet, so I still want to check that out. But they also have like this path that's a little snake that winds up to the library, and they have a whole bunch of like different little statues. They have the sun god. So those little art pieces are things that I really appreciate about a campus, and I'd say that's one of the best things about it.
Okay, so my favorite thing about UCSD would probably be the people. I feel like I was really lucky to get some really great professors. And I also used to go to this tutoring center for STEM majors called Oasis. And I feel like just being there and like going through the same things with other students, we were able to bond, and I've made like some lifelong friends from that. And also my roommates from UCSD, I feel like we were like close, and I'm actually still friends with my roommate. So I feel like I've met some like great lifelong friends there. And then my second favorite thing would probably be the beach. I've always wanted to live near the ocean, so UCSD gave me that opportunity. I lived in the transfer housing, and we could see the ocean from there, and we were like literally 1 street away. And it was just a really great experience.
Thank you all so much. And there's so many things to share, and I appreciate that you all shared a little bit of everything. We started with the beach, we ended with going to the beach. So once it gets, it's too cold for me right now, but I definitely agree with you all. And I know that we have more questions that folks want answers, but maybe some other time. I will pass it on to, I believe it's to Roberta. Thank you all to our panelists, or Anna, I'm sorry.
Awesome. Wow. Thank you so much. That was amazing. I mean, I just learned about so many more resources that UCSD has to offer. And yeah, agreed. I felt really supported there. And it's just really awesome that UC San Diego has so many centers for anybody, right, to feel welcomed. And that's great. All right, so next up, we are going to move into admissions. I hope that listening to the panel kind of piqued your interest, right? And y'all are interested in going to the school. So we want to know, what are the next steps? What are the majors that UC San Diego has to offer? And maybe, you'll be applying in a few years or a couple years, next year, who knows? So I want to introduce Christina Sandoval Pacquette. She's a UC San Diego admissions officer. And I see in her profile picture or her background, that's the little house hanging off the building. So that's one of the art pieces. Excuse me. So Christina was raised in Chula Vista. She's a first generation student as well. She chose the transfer pathway from Southwestern College. She majored in psychology, did undergraduate research in neuroscience to figure out how transfer students experience college and how to address issues of equity and access into higher education. For over 13 years, she has worked in leadership roles and as an advocate for students who wish to further their education at the UC. So welcome, Christina.
Thank you so much and welcome everybody. My name is Christina Sandoval Pacquette. I was also a transfer student. I love to see all my transfer students here. Yes, go Jags, although to age myself, I was there when they were still the Apaches. My last year there is when we switched over to the Jags. But I love the transfer pathway. It was wonderful. Now we don't have too much time. So what I ended up doing actually is making a little to-do list for you guys so that you know kind of what your next steps should be as you're preparing yourself for the next application cycle or future application cycles. As it says here, yes, I did undergraduate research on how transfer students do college. I love that title because it caught all of me off guard. They're like, what do you mean do college? I'm like, when you communicate about higher ed, it can be very confusing for first gen students when we use language that they're not familiar to hearing. So I'm hoping that today you don't run into that situation and I'm explaining it as clearly as possible. But we're going to get started with our first thing that you need to do. One of the first things I always tell students to do as preparing to go through the application cycle is to follow your colleges that you're interested in on social media, on the YouTube pages, get added to their contact lists. Why should you do that? This is a great way for you to not only get to know more about the college or university you're trying to apply to, learn more about the culture, the vibe, like what is it actually like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What are the students like? And then I can kind of give you an idea as to what that experience might be and whether or not you're still interested in going there. But also, it's a great way to get constant reminders about when the deadlines are. And so I think that that is going to be a great way to kind of keep you on task. So, oops, I think my share screen went away. But in that first slide, as you saw, there was a timeline of the application cycle. So the first thing that you are, one of our first deadlines is August 1st. That's when the application actually opens. So you do have for the UC system all of August, September, October to fill out your application. And then you have the entire month of November to submit it. Then sometime in mid-March is when you get notified if you're going to be admitted, if you're applying as a first-year student. And if you're going through the transfer pathway, we'll actually let you know sometime into like April, May, whether or not you've been admitted. But getting added to a contact list, you're going to get bombarded with emails about these deadlines, special programs that are coming up that you might want to get involved in, like our swag program or our transfer, our Triton Summer Academy. These are all great ways to just kind of get in the know so you're not feeling like you're missing out on something. The other thing you're going to want to think about is your career path. And I want you to think beyond the major. So if we go to the next, oh wait, sorry, let's go to the next slide because it's about the colleges. I totally forgot about that. Sorry. So following social media is also, like I said, it's a great way to kind of know the college, know the language, know the landscape, kind of get familiarized with what that school has to offer you. But one of the things that you'll learn is some of the cooler aspects of those universities. If you follow UC San Diego, and actually if you go onto our Instagram page right now and you go through our stories that we have saved on our main page, you'll learn a lot about our college system. Now, this is probably the most confusing part for students to learn about the UC system, about UC San Diego, because you're like, I'm already applying to college. What do you mean there's a college within a college? The best way to describe this is that UC San Diego is like Hogwarts. We're like Harry Potter. Every single college that we have on campus, those are like our Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Ravenclaw. We have 7 of them. They're called 7, 6, Roosevelt, Warren, Marshall, Muir, and Revelle. All of these houses have different general ed patterns. They have their different traditions. They have their own advising staff. They have their own colors. They have their own chants. They do their own special programming. It's kind of a cool way to have like a very small college experience within a very large university. It's your home base. It's where you're always going to go to when you need a question answered or you need to start some kind of process. The nice thing is that there is no major associated with any of them. So you don't need to worry about applying to the right college or putting the colleges in the rankings in the right order to get into the major you're trying to get into. So this is just something for you to kind of think about and know that we do have this college system, but I think our Instagram page does a pretty good job of breaking down each one of these, and it's done by student perspective. So the students from those colleges are the ones who do the videos for those. In the next slide, we'll talk a little bit about majors. So number 2, think about your career path, right? Think beyond the major. Think about skill set versus degree name. One of the things that I always run into with students is they tell me like, I want to do computer science because I want to go into computer programming, or I want to work for Google, or I want to work for Apple. And one of the things I always remind students is that the degree name doesn't necessarily mean the career path. There are many pathways to many different careers, including careers in computer science, software engineering, and into Google and Facebook and Instagram and every other Silicon Valley company that's out there. So I always tell students, think beyond the major. The nice thing about UC San Diego is that we actually offer over 140 different majors. I always tell students, no matter what your interest is, you're going to find a major that's going to be a great fit here at UC San Diego, because we do have so many options. And even within those majors, there are different specializations. So if you wanted to really narrow it down a little bit more, you can. So in psychology, for example, they have 7 different specializations. And so it's nice to kind of be able to say, I'm going to do psychology, but I'm really going to focus on cognition. But we do have tons of different majors. One thing that you do have to keep in mind, and this is when, kind of reviewing and researching your colleges ahead of time is really important, is that we do have something called capped majors. Now, capped majors are majors that we get a lot of students who are interested in. A lot of students want to be in these majors, but unfortunately, we just don't have enough space for all of those students to be in those majors. And we do want to make sure that you can graduate in a timely manner, so you can graduate in 4 years. So we do kind of limit the capacity of how many students can be in those majors at any given time. Those majors are going to be all of our majors in biological sciences, the major of data science, all of the majors in the School of Engineering, including computer science, the majors in physics, and public health. So as you're researching your colleges and as you're following them on social media and you're watching their YouTube channels, you'll learn a lot more about this and what that actually means, so that when it comes time for you to apply, you're in the know and that's not going to catch you off guard. All right, in the next slide, we're going to talk a little bit about first year requirements. So number 3 is find your cheerleaders, find your tribe, find your admissions representative, and ask all the questions. Please do not be afraid to ask questions. We want you to ask as many questions as you have and want you to get those answers to those questions. As you know, we do have minimum requirements for you to complete. Those are your A through G courses, your weighted GPAs. We do not require SAT, ACT exams, something for you to keep in mind, but we're just one university system. Other universities might give you a different answer. So if you're looking at, say, USC, they have different admissions requirements, including if they require SAT or ACT. So it's always nice to, again, follow them on social media, get on their contact pages, because they're going to be able to tell you this information. Other things that we consider in the admission cycle, because we do a holistic review, which means we look at everything, not just a GPA point, not just the A through G courses. We look at so much more beyond that. And those are going to be your activities, your involvement, your honors and awards, your special talents, and of course, those personal insight questions. So number 4 on that list is start a list of all the involvement you're currently in. One of the things that we hear from students constantly, including right now, is, oh, I forgot to add that one thing. I forgot to add this honor that I got. I forgot to add the fact that I was involved in cheerleading for all 4 years. A great way to make sure that you're not forgetting to put anything you're putting about who you are as a student on your application is just to start a list. So I always tell students, open up a Google Doc, make a list, and keep it ongoing of all your involvement that you've been doing, a little summary of what you've been doing in that involvement, and then any honors and awards that you've been awarded. So when it comes time for you to sit down and do the application, you're not having to rethink, oh, what did I do? You already know because you've kept a list. On our next page, we'll look a little bit of a snapshot for first year students. This is for fall of 2021. We had 118,000 applications. We're the second most applied to university in the country. UCLA's #1. Our admit rate was around 34%, and the median GPA, so that middle 50% of students that got admitted as first year students, had a weighted GPA of a 4.07 to a 4.29. That means that, we did admit some students below that GPA point, and of course we admitted students above that GPA point as well. I will talk a little bit about transfer. I know we're running out of time here. Our transfer pathway is a very popular pathway. As you saw, many of our student panelists were involved in the transfer pathways, including myself. I found myself choosing to do the transfer pathway simply because that was going to be the best option for me. I wasn't ready, honestly, to go off to college immediately, and that's okay. There is no right way. There is no right timeline. Whatever your timeline is the right timeline. Whatever your pathway is the right pathway. Higher ed and the pathway to it is very individualized, and it's completely up to you. Please don't let other people make you feel any other way. I'm here to tell you right now, it's completely personal. So if you're thinking about doing the transfer pathway, just know that, you will have to meet some different requirements. It's completely different than applying as first year students. When you're applying as a first year student, you're essentially trying to showcase to us that you're ready to go off to college. When you're applying as a transfer student, we already know that you can do college level coursework because you've been doing it for 60 units. Typically that's around 2 years. So we don't need to tell us that. What you're going to showcase at that point is you're ready for upper division level coursework. And you do that by completing some major preparation. Now, some majors are going to require major prep prior to admissions, and some majors are not, but that doesn't mean that those majors do not require any kind of preparation. All majors require some kind of prep. But again, just like with first year students, if you're choosing to go to the community college route, remember to find your tribe, find your cheerleaders, find your admissions representatives, and make a list of all your accomplishments and all your involvement, because you're going to want to list that on your application as well. And if we look at our transfer snapshot in the next slide, we'll be able to see what that kind of looks like for our transfer students. As you can see, not as many as our first year students, about 22,000 students applied the transfer pathway. The admit rate is much more friendly, it's 55%. I think students prefer to see that number. I do want to remind our students that we are going to admit 1/3 of our incoming class as transfer students every year because we're mandated to. But then the median GPA for our transfers is about a 3.55 to 3.91. Now, this is where I like to tell you guys that when you're applying as a first year student, we're actually not admitting you in a major. So you do get admitted within a major if you select a major on your application, but we don't admit by major. We admit the entire class first, and then we decide what major students are going to go into, depending on what majors you put on your application. When you're applying as a transfer student, we do admit by major at that point. So the major you put on your application does play a role. Now, because we do that on the transfer side, that means that GPA range is going to be very wide, as you see here. Some majors are extremely competitive, like computer science, where that major GPA is going to be much higher than other majors that are not as competitive, like some of our majors in the humanities. But if you're doing the transfer pathway, the first thing you need to do is find your tribe, find your admissions rep, and start asking all of those questions, because we'll be more than happy to answer them. In our next slide, we'll talk a little bit about questions that you might have and how to contact us. One thing that I do want you to do as you are kind of listening to this and after you listen to this is, start to think about what you hope to get out of your college experience. Start to think about what you hope your college experience is going to be like, because that can help you kind of narrow down what universities you might want to be interested in and what universities you're going to spend your time and energy in researching. And last but not least, and I know this can be very hard for me, is to talk to your parents. Your parents are definitely going to be part of this journey with you. You're not in it alone. They come with you whether you like it or not. They're going to be part of it. So talk to your parents, talk to your family, talk to your tribe about what your expectations are, and make sure that you guys are on the same page and start talking about ways that you can help finance your education. And the nice thing about us is that we do have a wonderful YouTube channel that has a wonderful admissions presentation and a financial aid presentation. So if you're wondering, how am I going to pay for college? What does financial aid mean? What are grants? What are scholarships? What is work study? The nice thing is that YouTube channel will have a presentation that kind of covers a lot of those things. So I'm going to put that in the chat as well. So don't forget to connect with us. Please call us, email us, whatever it is that you need to do. Follow us on Instagram at UCSD Admissions and subscribe to our YouTube channel at UC San Diego Admissions. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'm going to transition it right back to Roberta.
Hi, friends. Definitely thank you so much for joining us. And if you have any additional questions, there's additional information in the chat. We thank you for being in this presentation with us, and we hope the best for you. Of course, we want you to be